All right. Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, depending on where you are in the United States. I know we're spread across several time zones. My name is Aaron Lowell. We'll go ahead and get started. Before we jump into the slides, I'd like to mention a few things. First, today's webinar is being recorded. A replay of the presentation will be available in case you want to rewatch any of the content or share with your colleagues. All attendees will receive a PDH certificate for attending today, and a link will be provided into the chat at the end of the presentation where you can download the certificate. We'd like to get your feedback about the webinar, so before you get to the PDH download, we ask that you complete a brief anonymous survey about your experience today. The survey also includes an optional section where you can request a one-on-one session with our team. Additionally, an email will go out tomorrow with the link and a copy of the webinar slide deck. As we move through the presentation, feel free to drop your questions into the Q&A tab in Microsoft Teams, and we'll address them at the end. And lastly, if you feel the content will be valuable to your colleagues, ParkUSA does provide in-person lunch and learns, as well as virtual. So please let us know if there is interest, and we can schedule accordingly. Okay, that wraps it up for the intro. Now, ParkUSA is a company that has developed innovative water technologies for water quality and water distribution for the civil, mechanical, and plumbing construction industries. And now I'd like to introduce our speakers. At me, of course, my name is Aaron Lowell. I'm from Portland, Maine originally, and I currently reside close to the Denver airport in Colorado, so I'm out west. My background is in civil engineering. I attended the University of New Hampshire, and I have experience in stormwater management, drainage structures, custom precast. And now I'd like to introduce Felisa Ostrander.
Thanks, Aaron. My name is Felisa Ostrander, and I am based in our Houston, Texas office location. I came to Park about 4 years ago, originally starting off in our engineering department before making my way over into sales. So currently I oversee the day-to-day operations of our national sales group. So we have Aaron out in the West, but we also have team members in the Northeast, Southeast, and Central territories as well.
All right, thanks, Felisa. Okay, now let me give you a history about ParkUSA. The company was founded back in the 80s. Our corporate headquarters in Houston. The company grew and grew and grew, and eventually we developed a need for additional manufacturing locations, including San Antonio and Ferris, which is in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Now, if you look on the map here, you'll see some blue dots over there around Utah. That's Geneva Pipe and Precast. Both ParkUSA and Geneva were acquired by Northwest Pipe Company within the past 3 years. So my job working out west is to grow Park sales with a manufacturing hub at Geneva in Utah. Now, both Park and Geneva are owned by Northwest Pipe Company. That's our parent company. And our headquarters are in Vancouver, Washington, which is just across the river from Portland, Oregon. Northwest Pipe has locations in 6 places in the United States, as well as just across the border near Yuma, Arizona, and Mexico. Now, this line card here, I run around the Western region. I actually have this printed out on a little note card with my face on it, but this is our announcement to the industry that, hey, we're out there, we're manufacturing ParkUSA products out west at Geneva Pipe and Precast in Utah. You'll see some products there listed to the left, but we're not just limited to those products. That's kind of my main focus to get us started for really this first year and a half that we've been doing this. So ParkUSA's concept is to take products that are pre-engineered, pre-approved, and pre-assembled for easy on-site installation by the contractor. And you'll see here, this example is a grease interceptor, and you'll see that it's all pre-plumbed. And I'm going to mention this throughout the presentation today. All of our products come to the job site pre-plumbed. So we provide a really nice value for the contractor that they don't really need to mess around with any of those internal components. So how has Park done this over the years? Well, we've been a very innovative company. The founders of the company have 6 patents in their name, including the oil stop valve, which Felisa is going to get into in about 20 minutes when we get to the wastewater portion. But Park's goal is to assist the specifying engineer with the best water solution for your project. Now, I'd like to take a minute and highlight our main manufacturing location in Houston. You can see the satellite image up there on the right. That main building to the left is our main precast bay. Some of the other buildings include final assembly and storage. But the building to the far right, you'll see it's the second largest building. That's our steel fabrication building. And you'll see that that's one of our main capabilities there on the left. Those photographs down there are actually taken from inside of the building. And what that allows us to do is manufacture a lot of these different metal components that you're going to see today in-house. So let me give you an example. Some of the access hatches that go on top of the structures. How about a grease interceptor itself? We can actually make it out of stainless steel, which is really cool. Down in Texas, we have 10 delivery trucks running around the Houston area, and 6 of those are what's called a boom truck, and or a crane truck for short. And these trucks are capable of offloading themselves, so they can offload about 15 to 18,000 pounds, depending on how far we have to swing the concrete off the truck. So that's a really nice value. And we're going to see several examples of that coming up throughout the slides. This slide highlights a main product overview of all of the solutions provided by ParkUSA in all the different categories. So I'm going to kick off the presentation by talking about water distribution and pump lift stations. And then I'm going to transfer the presentation over to Felisa, and she's going to walk us through our wastewater, our stormwater, and our monitoring system products. So ParkUSA actually manufactures technology that kind of sets us apart from the competition. Let me give you an example. A grease interceptor with a sensor that can tell the owner if it needs to be maintained. So that's pretty cool. You'll see there reclaim water. We do a lot of the car wash reclaim tanks. Every new car wash they're building right now, which it seems that they can't build them fast enough right now. I know we're working on so many projects out west, but every job has about 4 or 5 different concrete vaults for us to provide. So that's really good business. Okay, I'm going to get into our first category here, and this is water distribution. I'll give you a little background. This is really how ParkUSA got started. The company was founded in 1984, and the original founder of the company worked as a pipe fitter for a mechanical contractor in Houston. And so he would have to source these water meter vaults and deal with different vendors that supplied the concrete, the access hatches, the valves, the water meters, etc. And as the story was told to me, he got fed up with this and said, why don't I just do this on my own? And of course, founded the company in 1984. So I'm going to start by playing a 1-minute video here. And what I want to highlight again is that our products are coming to the job site pre-plumbed. And for water distribution, they're also pressure tested before delivery. So enjoy the video here. Okay, so now you have an idea of what our water meters and our backflow preventers look like. I'm going to start by talking about water metering. This particular example on the slide here is a model DMC. This is a domestic compound meter, and this is commonly spec'd out for like subdivisions and different types of residential projects like that. So I wanted to mention that back in the satellite video that we saw, one of those buildings is filled with wooden crates for all these components. So the water meters, the valves, some of the fittings and things like that. So what does that mean? Well, we can get a submittal drawing back from a contractor and usually have the structure out to the job site within about 4 to 6 weeks, depending on what exactly it is. So that's pretty cool. The water meter itself there is that bronze looking thing there in the middle. Onto the next slide here. This is the model FMC all the way to the left. This is a fire water structure. That vertical red cylindrical thing there, that's called the strainer. And we saw that in the video as well. This structure is actually very similar to the video. The main difference is the cover over the top. So as I mentioned, we'll actually produce these covers, whether they're stainless steel, galvanized steel, or aluminum. The example in the middle, that has the concrete top. Our preference is to provide the concrete top with an access hatch versus the totally steel cover. But we'll provide whatever the engineer or the municipality require. Some of the different types of water metering that we provide, right there in the middle, that's the turbine meter. On the right, there's a magnetic meter, not pictured here, but is very popular right now is the ultrasonic meter. And those are popular because they pick up low flow and high flow very well. So there's a couple examples. Some of the brands of water meters that we supply include Census, Siemens, Neptune, Micrometer, Watts, Badger. There's several. There might be 10 or 12 different brands that we can provide. So this is our backflow preventer. We saw this in the video as well. It's very common for us to supply one of these along with our water meter structures. You can see the vault is a little bit smaller. Now off here to the right, I just learned this within the past couple months, honestly. Notice the valves there with the screw sticking out of the top. That's called an OS and Y valve. And what that means is that somebody can pop the lid on the backflow structure and determine if the valve is opened or closed by whether or not they can see the screw sticking out of the top of the valve. So that's pretty cool. As we saw in the video, these prevent cross-contamination of drinking water. So these can be effective in a case of like a water main break or something like that. This is a break tank. This is a unique product from Park. And what it's designed to do is provide additional water storage for a building. So let me give you an example. The city of Houston has low water pressure. So any building over 3 stories in height is required to have additional water storage. So we provide a ton of these around the area, as well as a lot out of state as well. You'll see there, it's a rectangular steel construction with a red primer coat. We can also apply a fully paint coat on there, which you'll see we can paint orange, lime green, blue, whatever color you need. These are typically inside of a building. However, they can be installed outside as well. And when they're outside the building, they'll typically be a round corrugated metal configuration. And when we do that round style, we can go a lot larger with the storage. So, up to 40, 50,000 gallons or more. The brake tank style that you see in this photograph, those are usually about 2,500, maybe up to 10,000 gallons. Over there to the left, you can see that's an example of our boom truck. That's one of our larger crane trucks there, as an example. And also for the rectangular steel construction units, we can actually put a wall down the middle of the tank, and you can actually separate different water uses. So if you wanted fire water or vehicle washing water or irrigation, we can put it all in the same tank. Okay, Buc-ee's. Now, for those of you outside of Texas that are not familiar with Buc-ee's, it's a gas station, but it's really like a tourist attraction. These gas stations are enormous. Some of them have over 100 gas pumps. This is the first Buc-ee's to be constructed in the Western United States. And I actually went out to the job site and I took these photographs myself about 2 months ago. You can see it was a pretty rainy day. It was a mud pit, essentially. I pulled up to the job site and I was wondering if I pulled up to a Costco construction site or a gas station. You can see the precast tilt up there on the bottom left-hand corner. Just a ridiculously sized gas station. But the engineer was out of Texas and they spec'd out on the plans our 4-inch water meter vault with a 2-inch bypass. So I'll take you in a little closer here. You can see all the water in the vault. It was, we probably got an inch or two of rain that day. That pipe spool in the middle, that's that black pipe, that's actually where the water meter goes. So for this structure in Johnstown, Colorado, we did not supply the water meter. It was actually supplied by the city. And we do that all the time. There's a lot of municipalities that prefer to provide the meter themselves, and that's fine. We can still provide the vault fully assembled. You can see the 2-inch bypass piping on there. So it'll be fun to visit Buc-ee's here. The site's located about 40 miles north of Denver on Interstate I-25, just south of Fort Collins. Okay, so that wraps it up for water distribution. I'm going to move into pump lift stations. And these are really cool. So what I've found in my travels is that sometimes the civil engineer and the mechanical engineer, they feel that lift stations are a little bit outside of their realm. So what's great is you can contact ParkUSA and we'll do a full lift station design for you for free. So we're going to highlight this. I got another video here. It's branded the Pump Trooper. So the video is going to take you through and show you why lift stations are important, kind of how they're used, and highlight some really cool projects that we've had the chance to work on over the past 5 years.
Water always finds its way to the lowest point in an area. This pull of gravity can easily lead to flooding, which can create health and safety hazards as well as property damage. Lift stations make it possible for commercial, residential, and community developments to defy gravity, collecting stormwater and wastewater in low-lying areas and conveying it to the municipal collection system at higher elevations. The Pump Trooper by ParkUSA, a Northwest pipe company, is a submersible pump lift station that offers a reliable and cost-effective solution for fluid conveyance and flooding control. With a variety of custom configurations available, we design our lift stations to the exact specifications and capacity requirements of your project. The most commonly used design is the duplex system, consisting of 2 pumps alternating in operation. Multiple pump installations like this provide continued service in the case of pump failure or maintenance and extra capacity in times of extraordinary loading. The Pump Trooper lift station works by collecting sanitary wastewater or stormwater into a wet well through an inlet pipe. As the well fills, an electric liquid level control system monitors the water level. When the water reaches a predetermined level, the pump engages, transferring the water up and out of the wet well basin into the sanitary or stormwater system. For high pressure or higher head applications, a grinder pump is recommended. The powerful grinder pump features sharp cutters that shred solids and move them under high pressure through smaller diameter pipe. The Pump Trooper is powered by a close-coupled electric motor, which operates quietly and is cooled by the moving liquid for a maximized service life. Made in the USA, our lift stations are pre-assembled in a controlled manufacturing environment, ensuring the highest quality product is delivered to your job site, ready for connection. Our team works directly with the field contractor to ensure proper placement and installation. Designed for the unique demands of commercial, industrial, medical, and residential environments, the Pump Trooper meets all building codes and comes with a variety of application-specific pump styles. The valve assembly can be housed in the wet well basin for smaller stations or in a pre-assembled valve vault for larger stations. Pump Troopers are available in precast concrete or fiberglass construction in a variety of sizes and with a selection of interior liners and an optional remote maintenance alarm. From corporate business parks to residential complexes, contractors, engineers, plumbers, and building managers rely on the trusted performance of ParkUSA Pump Trooper lift stations to keep their stormwater and wastewater moving onward and upward. Contact us to learn more about our water and wastewater solutions or visit us online at parkusa.com and nwpipe.com.
So these lift station systems are pretty cool, and they're really important in a place like Houston where we provide hundreds of these things. If you think about Houston, it's 600 square miles, and with 50 inches of precipitation, the need to move water is incredible. I personally lived in Houston during Hurricane Harvey, so I got to see how important it is to get the water moving out of there, with 3 feet of water. So we'll provide everything you're seeing here. So if we look off here to the left, we'll provide the precast concrete, the pumps, the base elbows, the float switches, the access hatch over the top. Not shown is the control panel. The internal piping is usually Schedule 80 PVC for 2-inch and 3-inch. And then for 4-inch and above, we usually change it over to ductile iron. It's more robust. It's going to perform better long term. Over here to the right, this is an example of one of our sanitary wastewater lift stations with grinder pumps. Typically, any lift station involving sewage will have a separate valve vault with an air release. And as you saw in the video, we'll provide that valve vault system all pre-plumbed to the job site as well. Okay, now I'm going to move into an example project here. This is a Costco warehouse store in Houston. So very, very large scale here. Look down on the bottom. 144-inch diameter manhole. This 12-foot size is very unique in the precast industry. Not a lot of precast folks have a 12-foot diameter manhole form. So that's something that's kind of unique to Park almost. 27 feet deep in the ground. Think about where this lift station is. It's in Houston. So the city is 25 to 40 feet above sea level. So groundwater is usually pretty high. Let's call it 4, 5, 6 foot deep. So your system's 27 feet deep. Well, what does that mean? This thing is way down deep into the water table. So we want to make sure that it's not going to pop out of the ground, right? Think about this cylinder, 12-foot diameter, 27 feet tall with no earth cover over the top. So it's very important that we run a buoyancy calculation for these types of systems. And you can see down there on the bottom, there was a 24-inch extended base for the system. And we'll get to see that being installed on the next slide. Over here to the top right, this is our keyed notes or our bill of materials. We're providing everything that you see there. Towards the middle of the page, you'll see the ParkUSA model number. So if you're an engineer and you need to spec out a lift station rather quickly, and maybe you don't want to wait a week or two for us to get you a design, you can spec it out with just that code and download a standard lift station drawing from our website. We just need a few pieces of information there, the wet well size, how many pumps there are, pipe sizing, flow rate, power characteristics, and things like that. But if you have the time, I'll show you how to start a new project with Park here in a minute. Okay, so here's some photographs from the installation. Now I want to note, we did not supply the extended base as precast. It was actually cast in place. And what we did when we poured the base piece, we installed threaded dowel-in inserts. These are accessories. You can get them from companies like Dayton Superior. They provide a lot of precast accessories to the industry. Over there on the bottom right-hand corner, you can see them casting in place that extended base. So when that base piece arrived to the job site, all the contractor had to do was screw in that rebar. It's a threaded connection. So it was pretty easy, I think. Over here at the joints, you'll see that black tar sticky stuff. That's called butyl mastic joint sealant, very common in the precast industry. Usually comes in rolls that are 1 inch or 1.5 inches wide. Some of the brand names for that product include Conceal, which is a company from Ohio, and Ramneck, which is a company from Texas. Here's how it works. So the contractor lays that on top of the joint, and then they drop the piece down. Keep in mind, this piece may be 35, 40,000 pounds for a 12-foot manhole. And that black tar sticky stuff, the mastic, it just pancakes, and it forms a watertight seal to keep water in and keep water out. Here's some photographs from the crane setting. You can see the scale, 13 feet, 4 inches wide. Imagine if we tried to precast that extended base, 17 feet, 4 inches wide. Good luck shipping that down the road. Up here to the top right, you can see the crane is pretty close to the excavation. So what that allows for is a smaller crane size. So depending on job site conditions, maybe they need to swing the pieces like hundreds of feet. Well, might be necessary to upsize the crane, maybe to a 200-ton, 300-ton crane or more. At ParkUSA, we generally stay out of the crane sizing discussion. You did see we have a 90-ton crane running around the Houston area. But we stay out of that. We let the civil contractor, the installing contractor, work that out with the crane company. And here's a couple other pump trooper projects that I'd like to highlight. This is another project. It's actually not too far from our factory in Houston, maybe about 10 miles or so. This is a 10-foot diameter manhole, wet well, by 20 foot deep. You can see there's a mobile crane there, quite a large one there, setting the pieces. So we don't just manufacture 10 and 12-foot diameter pump trooper lift stations. We manufacture smaller ones as well. Here's an example of a 4-foot diameter by 11-foot deep. This structure is in Spring, Texas, kind of in between the Woodlands and Houston. Over there to the right, there's a good shot of our knuckle boom crane. So we can actually bring that out to the job site and install the pump trooper in the excavation. So that's really nice for the contractor, like I mentioned before. Okay, moving into this project example, this is the Caldwell Canyon Mining Wash Bay. This project is located up in Soda Springs, Idaho. It's kind of the southeastern corner of Idaho, not too far from Jackson, Wyoming, actually. The project had 5 ParkUSA products, 2 lift stations, 2 oil water separators, and a 5,000-gallon sand mud interceptor. So you can see what the lift station looked like when it arrived to the job site. These delivered the first week of May, so about 3 months ago. And you can see up in Idaho, it's still wintertime in early May up there. Down here on the bottom left, that's a 2,500-gallon oil water separator. And I like to highlight this project because this is the first large project that ParkUSA provided in tandem with Geneva Pipe and Precast in Utah. Okay, so let me move forward and tell you about the truck wash. This system is cool because it utilized a treatment train configuration. The structure to the far right, that's the 5,000 gallon sand mud interceptor. If you were to look at the internals for that structure, it really looks like a grease interceptor, which Felice is going to talk about here in just a couple minutes. So the water flows through that 5,000 gallon sand mud interceptor. That removes a lot of the sediment and grit and things like that. Then the water flows through the oil water separator, and that's our coalescing media pack unit. Again, Felice is going to show us here in a minute. There's an access hatch over the top. So that system will need maintenance periodically. So that hatch allows a little bit more wiggle room to perform those maintenance activities. And then from the oil water separator, it flows into that 72-inch wet well lift station all the way to the left. And then it gets pumped out to a force main to a different area of the site. So this was a really cool project and really our first large project that was made at Geneva this year. Now, let's say you have a lift station. You're thinking this stuff from Park is great. How do I get a pump trooper going? We do have a lift station design request form. So we need a few pieces of information to get started. We need to know the project name, the location. What is the system being used for? Stormwater, wastewater, industrial, the power characteristics. Usually these systems will have 460 three-phase power, unless it's like small, just pumping out like one bathroom as an example. So if you can just fill this out, we'll get this to our pumps and control supplier. And like I mentioned, we need about 2 weeks to come up with a site-specific drawing, like the Costco project you just saw. We can get that for you to slap on the plans. We can get you the CAD file. So if you have any lift station projects, don't hesitate to reach out. So that wraps it up for my portion about water distribution and pump lift stations. So now I'm going to transfer the presentation over to Felisa, and she's going to talk about our wastewater, stormwater, and monitoring systems.
Thanks, Aaron. So if you're already familiar with the ParkUSA name brand, it's most likely due to our wastewater products, like our grease interceptors and our sand oil interceptors. So we'll be highlighting those products today. First, we have our grease interceptors. So these are used to remove any kind of fats, oils, and greases from our wastewater. You'll see these spec'd out in any kind of project where there's a commercial kitchen. So think your fast food chains or your restaurants, or anywhere where there's a large kitchen as well, or large cafeterias like your schools and your office complexes. So we manufacture a variety of different sizes. Our 500 to 6,000 gallon interceptors are actually UPC listed, NIATMO certified, but we also offer up to 20,000 gallon capacity interceptors as well. So what sets Park apart from our competition is we have a wide variety of value add options available. For example, on our precast interceptors, you can choose to include different kinds of epoxy coatings or HDPE liners to extend the life of that precast. But maybe precast isn't the right material for your project because you need to install these either above grade or you're looking for maybe a lighter weight product. We are also able to manufacture these products in-house using stainless steel material, and then we offer them in a fiberglass material as well. As Aaron mentioned earlier, we have our own internal controls department that manufactures our own maintenance alarm systems. And then if your municipality requires a sample well, we're able to provide that to you as well. On the next page here is a great visual, kind of everything that we discussed. I guess start off with some of our standard features. You'll have the precast tank, which will always include the internal piping and traffic duty rated rings and covers. These features may seem kind of basic, but this is actually a big value add to our contractors just because it reduces any kind of additional work in the field. Moving into our value-added options, you'll see the interior of the tank is colored orange, and that's to essentially represent the different kinds of coatings and liners that we do offer. For example, if you were going to include an epoxy coating within your interceptor, this could extend the life of your product maybe 5 years or so. But we also have an upgraded HDPE liner that can extend the life of your product maybe up to 30 years or so. Moving on, in this visual, you'll see a grease sensor, and then included with this grease sensor that's not shown is a remote alarm panel that's typically installed inside of the building. But this sensor detects any kind of grease buildup in the interceptor and sends a signal to the alarm panel. The alarm panel will then emit an audio and visual notification, letting the end user know that maintenance is required at the unit. And then last up here, you'll see one of our sample wells. We provide these sample wells in a variety of different sizes and materials. So again, if that's a requirement for you, we're able to provide those as well. Next up, we have a great visual of a typical installation of our grease interceptors. So as I mentioned before, all of our grease interceptors do come with traffic duty rated rings and covers and are designed for these requirements as well. So in case you have maybe like a smaller project site that you're working with, you can easily install these in the drive-through fast food lane or in a parking lot, and it'll not be any kind of issue. So next up, we'll be highlighting some different installations that we've seen in the past couple years. Here on the left-hand side, we wanted to point out, start off with this rectangular orange interceptor. So this was actually installed in Houston, Texas at Minute Maid Park, home of the 2022 World Series champs, the Houston Astros. So Minute Maid Park was actually constructed in 2000. And with this initial construction, there were some grease interceptors that were installed. Over time, these began to fail and corrode, and so ParkUSA was actually contacted to manufacture new stainless steel interceptors in their place. Because this was a pre-existing site condition, we wanted to ensure that what we built would fit within the existing walls and door frames of the building. So we were actually able to send a member of our steel fabrication department down to the ballpark to take very specific measurements. Another unique thing about this specific design is that you'll see the inlet and outlet side are actually located on the side wall of the grease interceptor, when typically you'll see these spec'd out on the included on the ends of the interceptor. Again, that's just one of the great things about using stainless steel material. You can customize the dimensions as needed and include some different designs as well. Here on the right-hand side, you'll see some green cylindrical grease interceptors that were located at an Amazon facility in Houston, Texas. So the unique thing about this one, or this project, is that these were initially designed to be installed below ground. But over time, there were some changes with the design, and these actually ended up being installed above ground in a basement. But these could still be easily accessed for maintenance purposes from the deck above. Next up, we have a project for a school up in Nucla, Colorado. And this is a great example of a precast interceptor that includes both interior and exterior epoxy coatings. Again, just to extend the life of the precast. All of our interceptors, no matter the material, do come pre-piped, as you see here in the middle, in those middle pictures there. And then on the right-hand side, you'll see some of our quality control stickers. All of our products do go through an intensive QC process prior to being delivered at the job site. Next up, we have another project in Denver, Colorado, and this is for McGregor Square, which is an entertainment area that's actually owned by the Colorado Rockies. So in this area, it has a bunch of cool restaurants, bars, and luxury hotels and apartments, but we actually installed 22,000 gallons of grease interceptors at the location. And breaking that down, that includes 3 6,000 gallon interceptors and 1 4,000 gallon interceptor. So here on the left-hand side, you'll see that because these are a little bit larger in capacity, we actually included some extra exterior structural reinforcement here. And then to ease some of that maintenance requirements for the interceptor, we actually included a ladder. And then moving over here on the middle picture, we also included some anti-skid pads as well. Another thing that we did to kind of ease the maintenance requirements for this interceptor is we switched out our standard traffic duty rated rings and covers and used an aluminum gas tight ring and cover instead. This reduced the weight of the ring and cover maybe about 40 to 60 pounds or so. And again, this feature just eases the maintenance requirements for that worker going out and checking that interceptor. And then again, on the right-hand side, we will stress no matter the product, no matter the material, all of our interceptors do come pre-piped. Then last up for our examples, we have a fiberglass interceptor that was installed in Fort Worth, Texas. So this is another project that ended up being installed in a basement level, so an above grade application. Both stainless steel and fiberglass can be used for above grade applications and can be those dimensions can be customized as needed. But we typically find that between the two materials, right around a 3,000 to 4,000 gallon mark, we typically find that fiberglass is the more economical solution. So last up, to wrap up our grease interceptor section, we wanted to encourage everyone to visit our website, ParkUSA.com. Under our resources tab, we actually have a couple of different sizing tools available, including one for our grease interceptors. So here in the middle, you'll see that we offer a sizing tool for the Uniform Plumbing Code Drainage Fixture Unit method. And then on the right-hand side, here we have a calculator for the meal factor method. Both are really simple and easy to use and help our engineers determine the appropriate size grease interceptor for your project. But of course, if you have any additional questions, you can feel free to contact Erin and myself, or even our engineering department, and we'd be happy to walk you through. So next up, we have our sand oil interceptors, and these products are used to remove any kind of sand, debris, or oil from our wastewater. So you'll typically see these products in any kind of car wash facility or any kind of car maintenance facility. So you're probably most familiar with a sand oil interceptor of precast design with an interior baffle and some piping. But we actually have an upgraded, more enhanced model that you see here on the right-hand side. And within this design, it includes a couple of different technologies. As Erin pointed out earlier, we have something called our coalescing media packs that uses a coalescing oil attracting material to just further enhance that oil separation from that wastewater. And then on the outlet side, we have something called an oil stop valve, which can detect any kind of oil that does pass through the coalescing media and essentially shut off any kind of effluent from leaving that interceptor. And then another thing that it's kind of hard to see here, but we also have an oil sensor installed within this tank, which can detect any kind of oil buildup and send a notification to our remote alarm panel indicating that maintenance is required at this unit as well. So this is a design that's typical of our larger capacity units from 500 maybe up to 2,500 gallons or so. But we also offer this same design concept in a smaller footprint as well. So on the next page here, you'll see a 400-gallon oil water separator that was installed at the Cowboys practice facility up in Frisco, Texas. You'll see that this is a smaller capacity unit and therefore it has a smaller footprint as well. So this design is typical of our 100 to 400 gallon capacities, but again, it includes the same kind of technology as well. It includes coalescing media plates and that oil stop valve and the high oil alarm system as well. So along with this practice facility at the Dallas Cowboys Stadium, we also provided a couple of different water distribution products and 4 12,000-gallon grease interceptors as well. So next up, we have a project that we recently delivered. This was for an 885,000 square foot Kroger distribution center located in the northern Las Vegas area. And this center is going to be used to truck food and groceries to a variety of different states in the West. And for this specific project, we included one grease interceptor and a couple of different sand oil interceptors that were used to service the garage and a couple of different vehicle maintenance facilities on the grounds. On the next page here, you'll see an example of an installation for our sand oil interceptors. Again, all of our tanks do come pre-piped just to sort of ease that installation process for our contractors. Here you'll see a hatchway that's precast into an extension. We can include these hatchways either precast as shown, but that does limit the adjustability in the field. So we typically do provide these loose instead. So that wraps up our wastewater section. We'll be moving into the stormwater section, highlighting a couple of different products in our stormwater line. So to start off, we have our stormwater interceptors that we market as our stormtroopers. So these products are used again to remove any kind of oil or trash, any kind of debris, but for stormwater runoff. So you'll typically see these spec'd out in any kind of project with any kind of large drainage area. So our stormwater interceptors follow what we call an offline system. So these are designed to include a separate control manhole and stormwater interceptor. On the next page, you can see some internals of what a typical stormwater interceptor looks like. But these are designed to treat the first flush flow of any kind of stormwater runoff, which typically is the initial stormwater runoff that contains the most pollutants. So this stormwater will enter our control manhole, and the first flush flow will enter our stormwater interceptor, where it's treated to remove any kind of debris or oil from the stormwater. These designs also include the use of those coalescing media plates, again, just to further enhance the separation of oil from the stormwater. Once this water is treated, it'll then exit the stormwater interceptor and continue through the control manhole onto the storm sewer system. And then for high flow conditions, our control manhole does also include a trash screen and a bypass weir to bypass that high flow. So moving on, we have some different examples of our stormwaters. This was actually for an airport up in Addison, Texas, and we provided a 5,000-gallon storm trooper along with some different wastewater and water distribution projects as well. On the next page here, you'll see one example of a typical stormwater interceptor design. Kind of right there in the middle in the field, you'll see our stormwater interceptor, and actually on the truck, you'll see our rectangular control manhole. This was for a little mini golf facility called Pop Stroke that's actually owned by Tiger Woods, and this was located out on the western side of Houston. And then on this final installation picture, you'll see that we're also able to include our stormtroopers in a cylindrical type of design as well. So just depending on your various project needs or what's required, we do have different options to best suit your needs. Moving on, we'll highlight our our trash interceptors. So I think we can all recognize that no matter where you are in the country, trash is an issue. So we designed our trash trooper to help mitigate this problem. This product includes a concrete vault with a stainless steel bar screen within the vault. And this bar screen is designed to capture any kind of small debris or trash that is flowing through our storm sewer system. This design also includes a hatchway just for ease of maintenance to get inside the unit and kind of clean up that trash as needed. But we see this product having huge potential in the Western coast. For example, in California, there's some municipalities that do have a trash mandate in place, so this would be a great option to consider. Moving on, we have our water control systems. So these products are used to control the flow of water. We see these typically spec'd out in a bunch of different drainage or irrigation type products. And the way they operate is this red valve opens and closes using that hand wheel. So it is a manual type of operation. But these can also be operated remotely using an electric motor. But in general, these valves can be included in a variety of different precast structures and are generally low cost. Moving on, we are going to touch base on our stormwater drainage products. So here on the right-hand side, you'll see our head wall, which is also called a wing wall, depending on where you are in the country. So we have our standard precast head wall, but we can also include a galvanized debris screen on this head wall as well that can capture any kind of trash. And then here on the bottom left-hand side of your screen, you'll see our safety end treatment. And again, both of these products are used to kind of reduce erosion and scour that's caused from stormwater runoff. And then last in our stormwater product review, we have our Fox diversion valve system. So this is actually an Australian product that we're seeing used more and more across the states for any kind of washdown application. So you can think either like a car or truck washdown, or if you're trying to wash down near a dumpster to get rid of any of that dirty dumpster juice, this is a great option to consider. And Park is actually now only one of 2 distributors here in the US. So the unique thing about this system is that it requires no electricity to operate. It operates entirely off of water pressure. So when this valve senses water pressure from a washdown event, the system opens and sends all of that washdown water to the sanitary line, which can eventually make its way maybe to an oil water separator. And then so when washdown ends, the water pressure stops, the valve closes, and redirects any water from rainfall down to the stormwater sewer instead. So this specific design is used for smaller washdown areas, maybe less than 200 square feet, and includes all of the components that you see here on the right. It includes the Fox valve system, the frame and grate, this blue debris basket, and these can be provided loose or already pre-installed in a concrete vault. This next Fox system is a little bit different in that it does require electricity to operate. There are some additional components that you can see. It has that blue water sensor and a control panel included. And these specific designs are typically used for larger wash pad areas over 200 square feet. So moving on, we wanted to highlight some of our more unique product offerings like our flumes and our macerators. So flumes are used to measure the flow of water in an open channel flow. Here on the bottom left-hand screen, you'll see some renders of our fiberglass flume insert, an ultrasonic transducer sensor that is constantly measuring the flow of water, and then a control panel that is logging all of this data. And again, these items can be provided loose or can be provided in a precast concrete basin, which really simplifies the installation for our contractors. Next up, we have our macerators. Our macerators are currently using a Vogelsang brand, a grinder pump, and this is essentially to cut up any kinds of solids that are gravity flowing through our sanitary sewer lines. We see these spec'd out in a lot of projects for either like prisons or jailhouses, where inmates may be stuffing up the toilets for whatever reason. But these would also be a good option to consider if you have any kind of project where there's potential for baby wipes to be flushed down the toilet, which can also clog these sanitary sewer lines. Next up, we'll be highlighting our monitoring systems. So moving into it on the next page, you see a wide variety of maintenance alarm panels that we do offer. For all of our wastewater products, there is an alarm panel that can be also included in the design. And we highlighted our grease alarm panel and our oil alarm panel, but we also have products called our decon tanks and some acid neutralization tanks that do have this capability as well. And again, these products are a big value add for our end user just because it easily alerts them when maintenance is required at the units. So to kind of conclude our presentation, again, we wanted to encourage everyone to visit our website, ParkUSA.com. We reviewed a lot of products today, but believe it or not, there's a lot more that we didn't get to. So our website includes a lot of drawings, flyers, just a lot of great information and different sizing tools available for our engineers or contractors to review. And then lastly, we wanted to thank everyone for spending the last 50 minutes or so with us. If you ever needed to reach out to Erin or myself after the call, here's our information, but we also encourage you to connect with us on LinkedIn too.
Thanks to everyone for attending today. If we can assist on any future projects, let us know. As I mentioned, I travel all around the West and do lunch and learns all the time. So just let me know if you'd like to have us out, and we can do it in person or virtually.
Yeah, thanks everyone for joining us today.